Shalom. Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. News and prophecy, linking the things happening, all right, here in Babylon and Great America, also, all right, abroad throughout the four corners of the earth, as everything that we see happening before our very eyes can be tied to biblical prophecy, as corruption is being overcome, all right, as it says in the book of Second Esdras, okay, the sixth chapter, we'll get it. I was checking out this video by the elder Ashiar from the GMS Charlotte camp, okay, GMS all precepts, subscribe and be edified, news and prophecy. The MAGA spell is wearing off and clash against the tiny tops. Okay, and what we're going to show you is that, you know, the Heavenly Father prophetically would destroy Babylon, you know, before it was raided, you know, by a foreign nation, because that's how ancient kingdoms went down. They were overcome by, you know, the greater dominant nation of that time. You know, they overcome that particular land or, you know, kingdom and set up shop. You know, kingdoms come and kingdoms go. And usually the Lord, in some kingdoms, before he sent, you know, the foreign country to invade and destroy that rulership, he would destroy that rulership from the inside. And this is what we see here in Babylon the Great, as the disease festers and the lineage of evil, the seed of the serpent, the wicked are being found out to be exactly what the scripture said that they are. You know, proud, arrogant, inept, childish, low, base, unholy, unhumane, okay, lacking of morals. And that's both your Democrat and your Republican, which are ultimately the two pawns and puppets of an even bigger problem, which is the elites, the bankers of this world. Okay, and Babylon and Great prophetically will be, you know, a great nation, but the Lord describes how that great nation, before it was invaded and bombed, would you know, fall from the inside. It would become corrupt. You would see moral rot within the government and the rulership and the leadership. You know, the fruits of pseudoscience and witchcraft. All right, the power of that only gets you so far. It only lasts so long. There comes a point where the earth will automatically start to reject you, but it's all the spirit. All right, and you ultimately will be overcome. So in this time, as we know, the kingdom of heaven is coming. Okay. Second Esdras, the 6th chapter and 28th verse says, as for faith that shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which had been so long without fruit shall be declared. Okay, and this is where we are. Faith is flourishing through the elect. Okay, even the Israelites who we don't agree with, the concept of Israel and our people clinging unto the Lord, okay, is bigger. It's more loud than ever before. So faith is flourishing, but primarily through the elect. Corruption is being overcome. And when you think of corruption, you automatically think of the government that is in place. It's built upon corruption. Okay, and what does the word corruption mean? Okay, let's look up the word corruption, because everything we're witnessing is rooted in corruption. The mass majority of these people who they have in front of us, even Trump, are blackmail, under, you know, oaths, and, you know, they're all slaves to the bankers and elites in their own way. And see, what's happening here in America is that the average everyday American, which, you know, a large percent of them were MAGers, you know, they are now starting to understand, even within MAGA, they're starting to understand that really the Trump administration in America has been sold out to the small hat. You see, Whereas they believed that Donald Trump was going to break the cycle of corruption. He was going to expose the pedo rings. He was going to bring jobs back to America. He was going to stop war. We were going to be able to have a Pax Romana, in a sense, in America, returning to our Christian, values and family first. And it comes to find out all of them are a bunch of sodomites, creeps, freaks, weirdos. Their wives, they cheat on them. They mess with little boys. A lot of their wives are trans. They don't care about the scriptures. They're a bunch of dishonest, fraudulent, okay? Corruption is dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power, typically involving bribery. And the mass majority of the people you see, including Trump, all right, because you're starting to hear about, basically Trump is superhead in the Edomite world, but apparently, he and Bill Clinton, which there's a picture of him somewhere on the internet where he's grabbing Bill Clinton's crotch area. And when you deal with Edomites, that's just how they get down. That is fun to them, feeling on each other, sticking stuff up each other's rectum, and putting the testicles on their friend's forehead and taking a picture of it while he's drunk off of 2 million beers, right? Just drunk out of his mind. You take a picture of him and you put his set. That's the type of fun Edomites have. This is just what they do. So imagine a bunch of them with some millions, some high 100,000s, some, billions and trillions of dollars. Like when they get amongst each other, I mean, it's a wild thing, man. And see, what happens is Jake, we're Israelites. The scriptures say the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. They get exposed to corruption. They get exposed to, having, men and women in bondage via sex and, sex slave and, orgy and drug and instant gratification and Satanism. Do as thou wilt. And it gets thrown at them and it bugs them out. It even bugs Edomites out. But especially Jake gets into that field and they get devoured, man. Look at Serena Williams. Look at that nigga. Just look at that nigga. Okay? Getting around the wicked, rubbing elbows, and you get exposed to these people who are truly in power. And they use you, all right, for the purpose of enchanting demons and things that rebel against the Heavenly Father, man. Dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power, man. Dishonesty, deceit. You're dangling this Epstein list in your face. But if they were truly any sort of righteous rulers, it would already be out there and we would know who was on it and they would be in jail. The fact that they could just tell you, well, this side has it, no, they have it, they didn't release it, why they didn't release it, I'm going to sign and release it, shows you that you are in a corrupt government. The fact that that type of information can be withheld from the people and no justice gets served, right? According to your law. So it's a dishonest law. It's deceitful. It's double dealing. See? They got loopholes. They got amendments where they amend your rights. So they can change or amend. You had the Bill of Rights, then you had the amendments where they amended certain, things, to benefit certain people and loopholes for themselves. And now they're just getting ready to bring in a full-blown technocracy and say, to hell with all the human rights for we got to save the earth. Villainy. See? The devout person shall speak villainy is what the scriptures say. According to Isaiah 32. Bribing. Your whole government has been bought out by the bankers. So the bidding of a foreign government is being done, all right, in the middle of a acting U.S. president who was supposed to act on behalf of the U.S. people. So this whole concept of America first is being found out to be a fraud amongst the MAGAs. All right, the MAGA spell is wearing off, all right, and clash against the tiny tops, you see? So you have a high percentage of MAGAs that are now including Tucker Carlson calling out the small hats. And the small hats are saying that y'all should do something about that. This type of information should not be allowed on the internet. You got to come down. You know, it's just all out war and collapse between the biblical Edomite, and he's being found out to be a complete freak. Okay, that's Trump. Okay, as you know, he brought it out here when you watch this lesson, right? Let's go here. Let's go here. Alex Jones said this some years ago. Check this out. Because basically in the emails, there were things supposedly alluding to, which is childish, which is also a psychological operation, because they really want you to believe that Esau's wickedness is just bound to the Epstein Island, and this is the only thing you need to worry about. But this whole earth is under that order, that ancient Babylonian Canaanitish order. That priesthood is what rules this earth. So child sacrifice, you know, human all of that, you know, the drinking of BLOO, dizzy, you know, the taking of human parts and mixing it with meat, you know, all of that. That goes back to an ancient priesthood that rules this earth today. And most sexuality, all right, and freakism are common in how they worship their gods. Okay, so the thought of Trump and, you know, getting down with Bill Clinton, you know, allegedly, that's not far fetched in a world we live in. See, this is what they do.
Video of President Trump sucking a ding dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding dongs. But I'll tell you, if they were to blackmail me to start World War III about one, I'd say, hey, I sucked it.
So this concept of Trump doing this was known about. They've been knowing about it. All right, you know, it's been kind of out there. You know, that there's footage of him, you know, doing that. You know, the ghetto gag. Oh Lord, oh, we are in hell. We are in hell, man. So he's just saying, because, you know, Alex Jones a MAGA, and even he is starting to, you know, he can't certain things he just can't you know, because for so long the MAGAs were anything that Trump was doing, they were justifying it. But even your more hardcore MAGAs are even now calling out certain things and hypocrisies, man. So the MAGA spell is wearing off. Okay? And that's going to lead to Egyptian against Egyptian, because it's going to be more than a race war. Okay? It's going to be political wars, sex wars, all right? Class wars, okay? Ideology wars, okay?
Golf ball for a second garden.
Nasty work, man. Hey, did you see his face? Let me play it again. Shalaki. Did you see the dude on the left? Look at his face when he says this, man.
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen.
This is how you know these people ain't the answer. Even with all of their pro, you know, Bible and, you know, the talking points about Jesus, and these people are not fit to rule. And when you go into the scriptures, okay, the Heavenly Father, you know, he here in verse 7, Jeremiah 49:7, which is a prophecy against Edom, it says, concerning Edom, thus said the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Okay, because Teman was known for its wise men. All right, amongst Edom, you know, the philosopher, the scholar. Okay, they had it all figured out in their rebellion. So is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? And when you look at this particular group of people ruling and who they have in front of us, it's a big mess. It's a big mess, okay? And it's all divided, it's all over the place. But what we're getting ready to see amongst Esau, Edom, right? Amongst Esau, Edom, we're getting ready to see a war and a clash, okay, with the working class America, which are now, all right, upper poor, all right? There's no more middle class. You're either rich or you're upper poor, right? These upper poor Edomites are finding out that America has been sold out to the small hat. So what we're going to see as a, a inward divide, which leads to decay of a kingdom, right? Isaiah 19:2, it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. See, and this is what we're witnessing. We're witnessing an inward collapse. Okay? Even dealing with these emails, right? So like these emails, which we'll show you, it's just a sign of shameful spewing and moral decay. And all of the nations are looking at this. Well, your president is now tied, okay, to being the throat goat. Okay? This is a goddamn shame, man. And it's funny that every time Esau, Edom is ready for the taking and has just got caught through the spirit and is just looking bad, our people do something to take the attention off of our own people, Israelites. Do something to take to where now the talking point is something else instead of the wicked doing what prophecy said that he would do. And this is how the left hand operates. This is how the left hand operates, man. But everything works out for the purpose of the Lord, man. But we're getting ready to see a big divide amongst these Edomites. These Edomites are about to crash out on their governors and government and their president because they really believed in MAGA. MAGA was a religion. Okay? America First was a real serious mindset of the average everyday Edomite who may have had some family, or ancestors, right, or forefathers who were slave owners and had a little piece, and they were promised this inheritance and the ability to govern their own land, and all that's being taken away. It's hard to own anything. Everything's messed up. Your Edomites are hooked on drugs. Your women are not reproducing. Okay? You're through. And now you're figuring out, well, we're in the grand scheme of things, we're no different than a nigga. What happened to America First, which means Edomite first? That's what Trump was able to reignite amongst the Edomite, was the notion that we are superior and we brought goodness to the earth, and either you're going to acknowledge it or shut up. Okay, we're Christian. Jesus Christ. That type of American showed their head during and that's good. We're not mad at it. We're not mad at it. Egypt is looking for a savior. Okay? And Trump represented that.
These are the talking points that I always make reference about. These have been the talking points lately from a lot of these, hardcore right-wing so-called Edomites, man. All right, now they've come to that realization that America has been sold out. All right, that the politicians, the president, whosoever, governors, mayors, or whatever, all right, they don't have the interests of America first. They're all about serving the tiny hats. So that's the clash that's coming. So like I said, consider what he just said. Now check this out.
You have issued a stark warning to American Jews. I want to make a warning to somebody else, and that's American Gentiles. The minute your country is taken over by anti-Semitism, the minute you start to be a country that's not blessing Israel but cursing Israel, you have begun the process of shrinking away from your empire. That has happened. I don't think that's theological. That's biological. That's the way.
So what you're getting ready to see happen through the Spirit is what the right wing has done, what Esau has done, what's happening through the right wing, is that certain talking points, right, that are true, which can be tied to what we teach. What we teach can be classified as anti-Semitism. So you're starting to see right wingers like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and so forth, you know, who were heavy MAGA supporters at one point, right? Who stood behind it and believed in it, white Christian nationalism and, Catholicism, whatever, we're back. Okay. But what's happened is those right wingers who are now have a loud voice against the small hat, against, America and its, lie of America first and Trump, how he lied and abandoned us. And, those talking points are now going to be linked, with truth, period, and anti-Semitism. They're going to use these people and their talking point as a means to pass laws and legislations, okay, to, ban free speech, to take away your rights. See? So you'll see a Candace Owens, although she, to hell with her, but she brings out certain information and ideas and things against the small hats. And nigga even quoted Revelation 2:9, I believe. Them that say that are Jews and are not. So, these people are, I believe, controlled opposition, and they're used. But through it all, things do get outed. Through these people, there's certain talking, points about the wicked that are being, truths are being told. So it's their own tongue falling on themselves, but it's a part of a demented plan by the elite, okay, to use, controlled opposition as a means, all right, to take over all opposition. And the small hats will be at the forefront of that. Israeli rabbis sending a warning to Americans who he calls Gentiles, okay, because there's this ongoing narrative and fight between the small hat and the American Christian, that the American Christian is Jacob and the small hat is Esau, and the small hat says that no, we're Jacob, and you American Edomites are heathen Gentiles grafted into our So there's a big divide amongst these Edomites and these, because they're all Edomites at the end of the day. The small hat is the tiny top is literally, he's just an Edomite from another tribe. Okay, they're different than the American Edomite, and they've always kind of had like a clash between each other, right? But it's being it's being heightened here in these times, man, where you're gonna have regular Edomite people rebel against the small hat.
The world operates. Every empire that turned on the Jewish people shrank back to its smallness. If it's the Germans and it's the Austrians, if it's the Dutch and the Spanish, and it's certainly a much more recent history, if it's the British, who had a giant empire, gigantic, ginormous empire. But when they turned on the Jews, within just a few years, they became the little island that they are today. Okay?
I really wanted to do a PhD thesis tracking throughout history the meccas of Jewish diaspora and then the precipitous downfall immediately following them turning against
the Jews are a channel for blessing in your nation. Okay, if Fuentes is coming out saying, get the blank out of here, I hear it. And we have a place, Baruch Hashem, thank God, we have our homeland back. Hashem has made great miracles. But for you, Fuentes, do you really think that what you're offering is a great offer for America? Do you think?
He said Hashem does great miracles. Now, Hashem means the name. The Most High's name is not Hashem. His name is Yahweh. He has a name. All right? The name is not the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Think that when you cleanse America from Jews, America is going to be a blessed country? Biologically, historically speaking, it will not. It will.
Because now you got certain Edomites telling them to get out of America, buying up all of the properties, buying up all of the apartment buildings, jacking up the prices, repositioning people out of where they were, just being the devil, buying up land, buying up meat factories, just buying up everything. So the Americans like, man, get out of here. us, okay, we want to be America first. We're tired of the nigga. Yeah, we want to get rid of the illegal, but they're starting to say, well, you are the problem too, which is a pivotal point in prophecy. There's a civil war in between Edomites that's brewing in the background,
Shrink. And I see it. The American shrinkage has begun. And so that's for you, America. Like you're throwing out, you're vomiting out, you're listening to this guy, you're vomiting out your Jews. It's been done before in all those places. Look at these great cities. Yemen used to be a great, a cultural mecca for Jews. It became what it is today, a crappy little country. And look at Lithuania and all these places. They were once important because the Jews were there. They brought God's channel. They channeled godliness into this world. They brought smartness and innovation and political innovation and cultural innovation. You kick them out and you go to Vienna today. I've been to Vienna. Very, very nice city. A shadow, a memory of great times past. Okay. A nice place. They keep it nicely, but it doesn't have the power. The Jews bring the power. You want to kick the Jews out of New York? You've got Mamdani. He's going to kick the Jews out of New York. He's going to arrest the Netanyahu. He's going to globalize the jihad. Gesundheit, hate, as we say. Good luck. Let's see what happens to your great New York City without us. And I think that there's another aspect of that, which is, who will stand with Israel? The nations are to be judged. We know, and Fuentes says truthfully,
this guy is just full of pride.
Will survive. When we're kicked out of America and America, the whole thing is done. The whole American Jewish project is done. We're going to be fine. Within a span of a few hundred years, we went from the Babylonian to the Persian to the Greek and the Roman Empire. We're still here. As Rabbi Berelwein says, that if the people in the past would see who is selling tickets to whose roof.
Yeah. So hey, this is heavy. So like I said, consider both videos what was said, all right? And this is showing you that these tiny hats, right? The rhetoric, the talking points, like you see here on the screen, right? Israeli rabbi sends a warning to Americans after right wing cuts ties with Israel. Quote, America will fall for abandoning the Druze. So he's saying, look, all right, you want to run with this rhetoric, this talking point. They pretty much about to tear this shit down. This is how you know shit's about to happen. Okay? Because this is the clash that we see right now. Now, your so-called right-wingers are waking up. Egyptian versus Egyptian, man. Okay? They see who really has the control of America. That's how you know. And he's like, he's talking shit like, all right, you want to do this? Look what's going to happen. So this is how you know something major is going to happen due to this internal division that's going on with MAGA, the right wing, the tiny hats. Okay?
So our enemy is through. Meanwhile, you got Trump. All right? You got Trump. Let's pull this up.
It has been a catastrophic day for Donald Trump, perhaps the worst day of his presidency yet. Of course, you probably know by now that the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee were able to get their hands on new emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff and other Epstein emails, which link Donald Trump to conduct that is abhorrent. Jeffrey Epstein says that.
And if you think for 1 minute they don't know who's who and who's doing what, and that they could, make a move, they could do it. Okay. Again, corruption is in place. See, but within these emails, as we're going to show you, oh man, let's just listen to a little bit more of this.
Basically, Donald Trump knew everything. He would hang out in the house with the victim. We'll get to that in a moment. But I want to cover the other disasters in Donald Trump's morning and day thus far. Let's just take a look at the headlines this morning. Tariffs are forcing brands to cut back on Black Friday deals. Trump's literally the Grinch destroying Christmas. You know how MAGA Republicans would say, oh, the Democrats want to destroy Christmas. Donald Trump is quite literally doing that. As Carl Quintanilla writes from the Bloomberg article, it just doesn't make financial sense for us to offer discounts because our costs of goods are so high because of tariffs. Less discounts, less purchasing, high credit card debt, and massive delinquencies there spells big, big trouble. You take a look at, just say coffee futures right now, ranging near record levels. And you know right now that if you go out and buy coffee, how expensive it is. So now Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is floating the idea of coffee tariff relief and tariff relief on other products.
See, and to get coffee, you have to deal in U.S. dollars, right? So this is why certain nations are now like, they're trying to work to create a currency outside of the dominance of the dollar to trade in, which is all the bankers getting ready to move everything into a digital currency. All right, but they're collapsing this place from within. This all of the moves that are being made are to make life hell for the citizens, to prepare them for the squeeze. As you won't have any resources, they'll have everything. It'll be a blackout, total chaos takes place. Just death everywhere. And as the lights turn back on and they establish order, you have to enter into a new world. And the digital ID won't just be a talking point. Okay, the micro CHIP eventually will be instituted. That's what's coming forth through this presidency. Robots are taking your jobs. Okay, we're witnessing moral rot, moral decay, and things are getting even worse for Donald Trump. Okay.
Tariff relief. I thought you all said that tariffs were going to make us so rich. And they're your tariffs against the world. Now we need relief from your tariffs. Right. Donald Trump creates the problems, destroys the lives of our soybean farmers, destroys construction manufacturing, destroys many sectors, and then needs to bail them out and provide them relief or just let them go bankrupt. Just take a look at this one as well. It's not just affordability that Americans are anxious over. They're anxious over jobs as well. 55% of employed Americans say that they are concerned right now about losing their jobs. And 62% of respondents said the cost of their everyday items had climbed over the last month. But Donald Trump and MAGA says this is all a hoax and that we're living a golden age. We're in the Gilded Age, indeed. We're all having great Gatsby parties just like Donald, aren't we? With the slogan, a little party never killed nobody, right? Aren't we all living that way? Absolutely not. Donald Trump is making the American people suffer. Donald Trump is starving the American people to death. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are ripping away the healthcare of over 20 million Americans. Why? Because they hate Americans. I mean, just listen.
Well, they're ruled over by a foreign government who don't care about you Americans. They look at you as goyim. And this is what the regular everyday Edomite is getting ready to find out, is that in the grand scheme of things, your own elite don't give a shit about you either. Within eugenics, a lot of even Edomites of a particular class were justified in being sterilized and cut off. And you thought that America was going to be your inheritance. All right. You thought that, this concept of Christian nationalism and blessing Israel was really to your benefit. But now you're living at the end result of it. Okay. It was always about the elite. The common Edomite, really in the grand scheme of things, they just want to chip your ass too. You're just another nigga. See that? But Trump is all in these emails, and this is hold up, let me see here.
Yesterday, the Situation Room at the White House was used to cover up the pedophile ring that is in the epicenter of the MAGA family values, in God we trust party. And so, Kylie, go ahead and put this first piece up. Breaking. CNN is reporting that Trump held a meeting in the Situation Room. Yes, the Situation Room with Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, and Lauren Boebert over the House effort to force the release of the DOJ's Epstein files. They are panicking big time. They are literally
It's like they keep you going. It went from shutdown, now it's this. It's like, what's next? It's something that's coming. The children of Satan have been revealed, man. These people got to go. They got to be stopped.
Resorting to the Situation Room. This whole presidency pumps has been about one person and one person only. His ego, covering up his crimes, keeping him out of jail. And at some point, your consequences catch up with you. And that's what's happening right now. And
how this became the standard of beauty is beyond me. I just do not get it. I don't get it. That had to be the Lord had to, for these people to become the standard of, how to look, and, be the top quality human being is just very interesting to me, but it shows you that there's a Lord, there's a God, he really set these devils up,
And of course, he's going to lie. Of course, Pam Bondi's going to lie. Of course, Cash Money Cha-Ching Patel is going to lie through his teeth. And the biggest 180, his whole identity was release the Epstein files before he was the director of the FBI. And now his whole identity is the Epstein files are no big deal. I love Donald Trump. Here's the
we'll come back to that. Not only Cash Patel switched his tune because everybody's being bought out. Again, corruption is able to be forwarded with a corrupt leader in a wicked government. You got this dude, RFK. Okay, hold up, let's get it. Remember, he was all America, America health first. Make America healthy again. You could just look at this guy and tell that he's under the influence of Satan. All right, he's seen corruption. He's probably under blackmail and bondage. And he was supposed to represent, he spoke against the juice, like the vax, all that. He was supposed to, him being brought on to the Trump administration and really help boost Trump's, credibility amongst the people, because a guy like him who was speaking against Big Pharma, speaking against, he even spoke against Ozempic, but now he's giving you over to it. All of them have done a 180. And let's say some of them really had true intent to make things better. All right, to be against the so-called shadow government, as Trump tries to present himself to be. Once they get to a particular level, it's no way to move forward with your right. You get corrupted. All of them. It's no way to win by joining the left hand. Eventually, blackmail, bribery, is gonna take place. Righteous governance will never happen through these people. Even if you have some of them with ideas that make sense in the grand scheme of things, it won't be played out for the welfare of the people, for the benefit of the people. It won't. They won't allow it. Okay? So he was supposed to represent health and righteousness, but as you can see here, RFK sold America out to the technocratic police state. Okay?
Sold as improving health through technology, but it's really about dystopian government surveillance and control.
We're about to launch one of the biggest advertising campaigns in HHS history to encourage Americans to use wearables. It's a way of people can take control over their own health. They can take responsibility. They can see, as you know, what food is doing to their glucose levels, their heart rates, and a number of other metrics as they eat it. And they can begin to make good judgments about their diet, about their physical activity, about the way that they live their lives.
Maha has turned out to be a Trojan horse. It's just, I don't know if you saw this, Kennedy just came out and he said his vision for everybody in America is they have a wearable, which means he's the Judas goat walking everybody into the control grid.
We think that wearables are a key to the Maha agenda, making America healthy again. And we are going to, my vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
Any hope that he was playing an inside game. My hope was he was playing an inside game and sort of making compromises so he could get something done. But what he's got,
you see that? These people, to a degree, they believe, even though they bring things out, and they know certain things about the inside, and and all, they still have hope that some of these politicians and people are gonna somehow bring forth righteousness and really restore, justice and morals to the earth, and push true health and healthy living the right way. They really believe that that's possible. It's not going to happen. These people thrive in filth. The Edomite needs filth in the earth. He needs people, dumbed down. He needs people decrepit and destitute. Right? So that he can just control them. He's not set for the welfare of mankind, and no, that's just not the type of ruler he is. See?
what he's trying to, he and Elon Musk are having a competition for who can get the most people into the control grid the fastest.
I'm curious, where are the other companies other than Pfizer? Are you expecting them to come out later?
And I was honored to have Albert be the first. He's done a fantastic job with, as you know, with the COVID. He did a fantastic job with a lot of things. He's a leader, and Pfizer is right at the top. You know, it's there. Eli Lilly has been fantastic also, your friend, my friend. And they're all coming in over the next week. We're making deals with all of them.
A Judas goat, you'll train a goat to walk all the sheep into the slaughterhouse. So here's the slaughterhouse. The Judas goat kind of walks in, and right at the end, he turns, and then the sheep go into the slaughterhouse. So his job is to steer people, and so I was hoping Kennedy was playing an inside game, but he's, based on what he said the other day, he's the Judas goat. And he and Musk are having a competition, I think, for making the control grid fashionable.
Yeah.
So
A couple of weeks. For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, you okay? Were you okay? Yeah.
No, they were announcing, all right, this particular drug. And at the announcement of it, the nigga just collapsed, man. Yo, where are we, man?
That any American for 1 second thought that RFK Jr. wouldn't lead America into a technocratic surveillance, all-encompassing control grid under the banner of MAHA, or Make America Healthy Again.
See, confidence in an unfaithful man, right? Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbor, and he is not. So Esau is being uncovered, man. All right? Confidence, okay, in an unfaithful man. All right? Proverbs 25:19. Confidence in an unfaithful man in a time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. And this is where maggers have been led, okay? To be sold out, to be brought into a technocratic takeover by the small hats, all right? And their transhumanist ideas. That's where Trump led y'all. He leading your ass to the MOTB, tyranny, okay? And through MAHA, he's brought about MABA, MABA. So you got MAGA, MAHA, MABA, Make America what? Biometrically enhanced, nigga. What do you think that means? Man will be merged with machine. Okay? This is the beast man.
Is absolutely astounding to me. This is one of the recent posts by Secretary Kennedy. He said, "Today I spoke with America's tech leaders," we'll go over that in a second, "about how innovation is transforming access to health information. Make America Healthy Again is helping people get and stay healthy by harnessing technology to deliver personalized, real-time insights that empower better health decisions." As some of you may already know, RFK Jr.'s post refers to the inaugural Make America Healthy Again summit that just took place on November 12, 2025 in Washington's District of Criminals. It was an invitation-only event that he helped to organize as the HHS secretary. He discussed with biotech and tech executives from Google, Neuralink, Regeneron, CRISPR Therapeutics, and Walmart how...
Why is Neuralink there? It comes to making America healthy again, but Neuralink shows up. The FDA shows up. AI people show up. Dave Asprey, founder of the biohacking movement. Dave Asprey, let's look him up. Maybe he's a Jake, right? Maybe he's a so-called black man with power to bring about this system. What's his name? Hold up. Dave Asprey. Look at this nigga here. Oh, wow. It's Esau, okay? Biohacking. Like, what is that all about? He's a biohacker, all right? What is a biohacker? Who coined the term and founded the biohacking movement to upgrade the human body and mind through science, and technology. Okay, his work involves optimizing health and performance by changing one's environment through methods like specialized diets, supplements, technology, okay, to upgrade man. So they're tapped in, all right, on the left-hand side. Okay? They're bringing about the MOTB system, man. I don't know what else to tell y'all. Okay, Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor. But they're making you bow to their image before they set up that mark. Okay?
Innovations like AI, telehealth, and biohacking can democratize health and health data for, quote, personalized real-time insights. We're talking about wearables tracking nutrition, fitness, and age reversal.
My vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
They claim that the goal was to, quote, empower individuals to make proactive choices amid Maha's anti-corporate food pharma push. So somebody riddle me this. How can you be anti-corporate and anti-pharma when you're hooking up with companies like Google, CRISPR Technologies, and Walmart? And surveillance concerns aren't unfounded. Critics note that this could evolve into aggregated biodata collection via apps and devices.
This is the children of Satan, man. This is Revelation 13. These are the people that are bringing about, fulfilling Revelation 13. The Edomites.
For nudges on behavior, which definitely echoes China's social credit model if it's tied to policy incentives. And of course, proponents frame it as voluntary empowerment, not mandates. And they say it aligns with RFK's privacy advocacy. You don't have to be concerned about a social credit system. I mean, that's why we're kind of partnering with Google, Neuralink, and Regeneron. They don't want social credit scores. Catherine Austin Fitz from the Solari Report reposted this and said, Maha is promoting the integration of the digital control grid on and into the human body and brain. Just watched one presentation on the Maha meeting in D.C. saying that this is okay with informed consent. She says informed consent means you warn your followers that this technology can be used to mind control you or your children. It means you warn them it can be part of the ability to turn your money on and off if you don't do what your social credit rules require. It means they warn you that you are embracing a slave system, one in which you can and will lose your sovereignty and all your human and constitutional rights. Catherine Austin Fitz continues, the WEF, or World Economic Forum, says it's 2030 and you have no assets and you are happy. That means it's 2030, constitutional government has been ended by the coup, and your embrace of this technology has stripped you of your assets and mind controlled you. RFK is sweet talking you into the slaughterhouse. The Maha inclusion propaganda is as bad as the DEI and LGBTQ inclusion propaganda. Too bad we all had high hopes. I really like and have benefited from Catherine's work, but nobody who's thinking clearly had any high hopes for any administrative official in any administration ever. I don't care if you're talking about left or right. And as bad as DEI and LGBTQ, I would say a 100% all-encompassing surveillance police state apparatus, complete with digital health monitoring, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, tied to a social credit score where you could have your money turned on and off, is far worse than DEI, LGBTQ inclusion propaganda. Whitney Webb says, surveillance and biodata mining isn't health. Hope your big fans are finally hit to the fraud. Mary Talley Bowden says, pull the MRA shots off the market. Augustina says, we did not vote for the technocracy.
So maggers, Edomites, even some who ain't maggers, they are, yeah, look, you sold us out to Palantir. Shame on you. They're waking up to the farce. So you get ready to see, a big rebellion, because this ain't the only thing this dude did. Check this out.
Now, I know we all know that government is always the problem, masquerading as its own solution, and the people in government.
Watch RFK do a 180 and sell Americans out to Big Pharma. Okay?
government are really good at pretending and masquerading. But I really think it's important to constantly remind us that these politicians that look so good at first, who say all the right things, who use their campaign to hoodwink all of these people to having hope in them, constantly let us down. As they say, it's not a flaw, it's a feature of the system, the injustice system. And RFK is just another one of those political parasites who got you to believe that he was going to make America healthy again. What we have here on the left side of your screen is RFK Jr. on October 2024 saying Big Pharma is, quote, counting on selling Ozempic to Americans because we're so stupid and so addicted to drugs. A year later, in October of 2025, the same RFK Jr. says that with GLP-1 drugs, Americans will lose 125 million pounds by this time next year.
They're trying to sell this. There's a huge push to sell this to the American public. And, it's now the biggest company in Europe, but they're not marketing it in Europe. They make this drug in Denmark, and in Denmark, they do not recommend it for diabetes or for
They're talking about Ozempic.
obesity. They recommend dietary and behavior changes. In our country, they're counting on selling it to Americans because we're so stupid and so addicted to drugs.
So back.
You see, people were clapping. They put him on Fox News, which is a right-wing platform, and he was bought over. People bought into him because cool. And then, boom, at the last minute before the election, he just became a part of the Trump team. So that helped Trump to gain trust amongst the Babylonians, okay, and the MAGAs.
Back in 2024, October of 2024, in RFK Jr.'s mind, the solution to this problem was behavioral and dietary changes. But the problem with that is, if people start changing their diets and their behaviors, well, that doesn't make the big pharma industrial complex any money. We can't make any money when people are healthy. They got to be using our drugs. And everybody with any common sense knows that RFK Jr. was right. Lifestyle changes and dietary choices are what's going to win the day and cause you to be much healthier. But less than a year later, this Lolita Express flying Israeli shill says this.
Everybody will be able to get this drug, and it is going to change. We will lose the American public because of this agreement. We'll lose 125 million pounds by this time next year. But it's going to have dramatic effects on human health in this country.
Because of this multi-billion-dollar agreement with the big pharma industrial complex, we're going to turn health around in this country. We're going to lose 125 million pounds. Yeah, you could be way healthier with dietary choices and lifestyle changes, but the big pharma industrial complex isn't going to profit from that. And because I serve the self-proclaimed father of the vaccine, I have changed my tune. Psych! Here's another thing RFK Jr. said once upon a time.
Product that is illegal for weight loss in Europe is made by the biggest pharmaceutical company in Europe, Novo Nordisk. And they say in their materials, we're going to get all of this money from, this is going to be the biggest medical product ever made. And 100% of the money is going to come from the United States of America. Because we have the greatest obesity issue in the world. We have the greatest diabetes.
Why do so many people have diabetes? Why are so many people overweight? At some point, all right, it has to be blamed on the leadership. Because in the kingdom of heaven, you're not going to have the ability to destroy yourself like that. Okay? Health will be at the forefront of life. Knowing how to use the herbs. Okay? Knowing what's acceptable to the Lord. That's what the heathen are going to learn. But see, here, they don't want to fix the problem. You have a leadership in place that will rather benefit off of controlling the problem, not ever putting the people in a position to be healed of the problem. So he uses your body as a racket until you die, and then he takes your organs and uses them in all kind of procedures and sacrifices, and puts it in food. He's just a complete demon that got to be stopped, man. So the Lord is destroying these people from the inside out. Okay, all of the people over the earth are seeing this.
Affliction, and we're the only ones that will allow it. And the impacts of this drug are just terrible. It paralyzes the stomach. It stops a lot of the serotonin that we produce happens in the stomach, or the microbiome. And it destroys our capacity to produce serotonin.
What did he just say?
The impacts of this drug are just terrible. It paralyzes the stomach. It stops a lot of the serotonin that we produce happens in the stomach, or the microbiome. And it destroys our capacity to produce serotonin. And it has on its label now, I think, black box warnings about suicidal ideation. And then, you know, and then it works while you use it for a lot of people, but it causes severe gastrointestinal problems. And the moment you stop using it, you regain all the weight. And meanwhile, your stomach's been paralyzed. And a lot of those impacts last, apparently, according to what they said in the program, after you know the use of the drug is terminated. But some of the most interesting, he talks about the amount of lobbying money that is going into the AAP. That the NAACP is now a registered lobbyist for the pharmaceutical companies, and on their website they label criticism of Ozempic as racist.
So let me get this straight. RFK Jr. once said about these GLP-1 drugs that they're just terrible, they hurt the microbiome, and they cause severe problems. But now he's saying these same GLP-1 drugs are a net benefit to Americans?
Everybody will be able to get this drug, and it's going to change. We will lose the American public because of this agreement. We'll lose 125 billion pounds by this time next year. But it doesn't have dramatic effects.
So this is corruption. This is corruption. Okay, this is him. They told you, they sold you one thing, and now they're doing a whole nother thing. And this is going to causing an uproar, you know, amongst the people, man. Okay, because bribes are how corruption is forwarded, man. So you're seeing how absolutely wicked, because even if he had true intent, once he got to a particular point, they had to stop him. Enough was enough. Okay, you're gonna now push this agenda, showing you that these people are controlled. Habakkuk 2:16. For thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory, man. And people are witnessing shameful spewing, man. Okay, the book of Nahum, chapter 3 and 4. It says, because of the multitude of whoredoms, the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts. You see? And they buy people over to wickedness through enchantments, through witchcraft, man. They hijack nations. They pollute souls and minds, man. They just a complete wickedness. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And this is what we're witnessing. Shame. Okay? Shame. This dude did a complete 180 and sold you Americans out to Big Pharma, which now is going even deeper. He's selling you out to the technocratic, biohacking aspect of healing and health. And you're going to bow to their image. How they heal and deem what they deem healthy, that's a part of their image. So you're eventually going to have to bow to this science, this technocracy.
On human health in this country.
So you might be sitting there asking yourself, what happened to the impacts of this drug are just terrible. It's going to harm the microbiome and cause severe problems. Did those severe problems just go away because you got the call? Because your pockets were padded? Because you were threatened? I mean, blink twice, RFK. Or is it the more logical?
See, bribes. Let's get that. Psalms 26:9. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. All right, that's just how they get down. Your right hand represents your righteousness. All right, their hands are dirty with evil schemes. They constantly take bribes. So all of these people take bribes. Israelites are taking bribes. So judgments are changing, and things are, things are changing. People are having a change of, things people stood on for years. Now it's like, nah, I didn't say that. So bribery, right? I believe that's It's in the scriptures. Job 15:34. For the congregation of hypocrites shall be desolate, and fire shall consume the tabernacles of bribery. Let's look at the word bribery. Shachad. Present bribe. Now, a bribe is to persuade someone to act in one's favor, typically illegally or dishonestly, by a gift of money or other inducement. To buy off, pay, undercover agent, bribed. Okay. Presents. The scriptures talks about presents. Okay. Gifts and presents blind the eyes of the wise. Okay. Proverbs. Proverbs 19:6. This is one. Many will entreat the favor of the prince. Every man is a true friend to him that giveth gifts. No, that's not one. Proverbs 15:27. He that is greedy of gain troubleth his own house, but he that hated gifts shall live. Bribery, Isaiah 1:23. Thy princes are rebellious, they are companions of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts and follow after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither doth the cause of the widow come unto them. Because what? They've been given over to bribery. So they can't really judge the cause of the poor. Because now everything is done to benefit the rich. See that? This one scripture, let me see. Presents and gifts. Or is it in the book of Sirach? Boom. Sirach 20:29. Presents and gifts blind the eyes of the wise, and stop up his mouth that he cannot reprove. So he can't reprove certain things. Right, because he's taking a gift. Okay? He's taking a gift in the bosom, like it was done in secret. But these are your leaders. Okay?
Obesity affects about 40% of the United. So Trump just gave welfare to 40% of the country, but really he's giving welfare to the richest people in the world, which are the big pharma, because that's where this money goes.
So he's given, a bunch of health care and things are being passed and for people to have access to Ozempic. Okay, which they're saying this benefits America's health, because we lose weight, but really who is it benefiting? Okay, because all of these vouchers and all of this, all right, the concept of losing weight will switch from true health and diet to these pills, in which that fattens the pockets of these companies, these pharmaceutical companies who present these drugs. Okay? And remember, one of the biggest sins of Babylon is its drug trafficking and sorcery. Okay?
Okay, so I don't know if you heard the news. Trump just gave a $35 billion giveaway to Big Pharma so he could subsidize fat Americans taking Ozempic. So, all those people are always angry at the obese people. I don't want to pay for their health care. Trump's paying for their health care.
I'd rather pay for their Oreos.
Trump, yeah, remember that? So this is what's happening. So this is Fortune magazine, hardly a lefty rag, says Trump punches a new $35 billion hole in the national debt with a deal for Medicare to cover your Ozempic. So now Trump made it so that the government is going to pay for obese people to get their medicine, their Ozempic. That's what's happening right now. Trump just did that.
Well, they don't ever take Ozempic.
That's a $35 billion. By the way, Ozempic turns people blind. In case you didn't know it, people are going blind left and right taking Ozempic.
Ozempic. I don't know whether to shit or go blind.
I know, that's exactly right. So that's there's very serious side effects. Ozempic was not invented for weight loss. It was invented for people with serious diabetes that they can't treat other ways. And so there's lots of side effects.
Venom.
What's that?
people that can only be treated with Gila monster venom.
Now, I just want to remind you how much of a shiv this is to MAGA and Maha, because here's RFK Jr. talking about the Ozempic scam. You want to hear it?
Today, over 100 members of Congress support a bill to fund Ozempic with Medicare at $1,500 a month. Most of these members have taken money from the manufacturer of that product, a European company called Novo Nordisk. As everyone knows, once a drug is approved for Medicare, it goes to Medicaid. And there's a push to recommend Ozempic for Americans as young as 6 over a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago. Since 74% of Americans are obese, the cost of all of them, if they take their Ozempic prescriptions, will be $3 trillion a year. This is a drug that has made Novo Nordisk the biggest company in Europe. It's a Danish company, but the Danish government does not recommend it. It recommends a change in diet to treat obesity and exercise. Virtually Novo Nordisk's entire value is based upon its projections of what Ozempic is going to sell to Americans. For half the price of Ozempic, we could purchase regeneratively raised organic food for every American, 3 meals a day, and gym membership for every obese American. Why are members of Congress doing the bidding of this Danish company instead of standing up for American farmers and children? Because Novo Nordisk is one of the largest funders of medical research, the media and politicians and the medical schools all go along with them. For 19 years, solving the childhood chronic disease crisis has been the central goal of my life. And for 19 years, I have prayed to God every morning to put me in a position to end this calamity. I believe we have the opportunity for transformational bipartisan change.
And then they get to the end, and where's God? Nothing but transhumanism and technology. That's where it all led to. It was never about God and the Bible and being a Christian. It's all about bringing you into bondage to the NWO. This will be the new way. Natural things and God and all of that's all being undermined. Herbs and no, you're going to bow to this technology. This is going to be the way that people lose weight now. I have the answer. You don't need to depend on God and nature and walking and eating right and studying herbs. No, depend on, my medicine. And he was supposed to be against that. Now he's all for it. So MAGA has failed you people.
Transform American health, to hypercharge our human capital, to improve our budget, and I believe to save our spirits and our country.
On the payroll of the Ozempic maker.
Yeah, business as usual.
And for half the price of what Trump just did, for half that price, you could give you could give every person in this country 3 meals of organic food, and you could buy the obese people gym memberships. But Trump is not doing that. What Trump is doing is he's giving a giveaway, just like Barack Obama gave a giveaway to big pharma and health insurance companies when he did Obamacare.
Right, and this speaks to let's get Isaiah 19 in the GNT. This is a punishment to Egypt. Okay? Verse 11, the leaders of the city of Zoan are fools. Egypt's wisest people give stupid advice. How do they dare tell the king that they are successors to the ancient scholars and kings? So they pride themselves in having this high IQ. All right, and this is the modern day Egypt. The modern day Zoan is America. All right, this is that great city. Washington D.C., where Egypt's wisest people are supposed to govern out of. But they're giving nothing but stupid advice. Okay, King of Egypt, where are your clever advisors? Okay, perhaps Pharaoh, or perhaps they can tell you my plans that I have for Egypt. The leaders of Zoan and Memphis are fools. They were supposed to lead the nation, but they have misled it. But the Lord has also made them give confusing advice. As a result, Egypt does everything wrong and staggers like a drunk slipping in his own vomit. No one in Egypt, rich or poor, important or unknown, can offer help. There is no healing for Babylon. Look at this shit.
Now it's Donald Trump's turn. First, he did it with the Operation Warp Speed that gave hundreds of billions of dollars to Pfizer and Moderna. Now he's doing it to give it to Novo Nordisk, who makes Ozempic. That's what this is. And what does it do? It adds $35 billion a year onto the deficit as he's cutting your health care, as he's cutting your food stamps, as he's cutting your health care, as he's trying. This is what he's doing. He's given $35 billion extra onto the, so most of those savings, boom, they just right out the window. He's giving it to Big Pharma at the behest of obese Americans.
Well, at the behest of who runs that particular drug? Which family runs it? That'll tell you. And I'll bet you they're a good scientist.
Novo, I don't know what family controls Novo Nordisk, but they are the biggest company now in Europe because they're standing to make $3 trillion a year for Ozempic. Trump announced a landmark deal aiming to expand Medicare coverage to include certain weight loss medications, a move that could dramatically change access to these treatments for millions of older Americans. On November 6th, Trump revealed that his administration had struck agreements with Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, the makers of popular weight loss drugs, including Ozempic and Wegovy, to reduce.
Just look up Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly is a medicine company. Where's Eli? Okay, Eli, I guess it's just a corporation. I thought it was a... Okay, well, Eli Lilly owner. It's not owned by a single entity. CEO. Vanguard. CEO. Dave Ricks. Shares 3 ways. Yeah, I don't know. But it's a biotech and pharma company. Okay? So it's all pushing the end of this place.
Reduce costs and allow for broader Medicare coverage starting in 2026. Well, as RFK just told us, that if it gets approved for Medicare, then it automatically gets approved for Medicaid. And Medicaid covers everybody. It doesn't just cover old people. So from the folks who offered you a pizza and hookers and free BJs to anybody who took a COVID vaccine, now comes $35 billion subsidy for Ozempic. $35 billion. Don't you think? Oh, I thought he was supposed to reduce the deficit. No, he's another giveaway to Big Pharma. Eli Lilly.
What happened?
What?
He talked about how it cost too much. It could be way cheaper, and their stock price dipped not long ago. I'm trying to get the date of Novo Nordisk. And so he's like bailing them out with this.
That's what Trump's been doing, bailing out billionaires. Wow. That's why he gave $40 billion to Argentina, because he was bailing out billionaires. Under the arrangement, prices for GLP-1 drugs, used both for diabetes and obesity, will be slashed for Medicare and Medicaid beneficiaries. The prices of Ozempic and Wegovy will fall from $1,000 and $1,350 per month, respectively, to $350 when purchased through the TrumpRx.gov website. No. So normally it would cost you about $1,300 a month. Now it's going to cost you $350 because the United States government is going to give welfare to Big Pharma. That's what this is. This is welfare for big.
And that's where we at. You know, Ozempic, jabs. I mean, it's just a big mess, man. And meanwhile, your president is a complete freak. Okay. Let's see here.
All right, at the time of recording, the House is voting on the Epstein files. So we're waiting on that. It's important that we keep our eyes focused on the MAGA fuckery. And these guys are the worst. Let's start off with who used to be a Democrat, Mayor Eric Adams. He went to Israel and said the following. Play the clip.
Here in Israel. And as I finish, I'm going to come back here to Israel and let you know that I served you as the mayor. But I want to continue to have the title that's more important to me than anything. I'm your brother. Thank you.
Okay. If any other politician went to any other country and said, I served you as the mayor, and they're the mayor of New York City, it would be treated completely differently, even if it was like Paris. Let's say that somebody, an American mayor, went to Paris and said, hey, Parisians, I just want you to know that I served you as your mayor. This situation with Israel is so nuts. And when I say that, I'm separating the Jewish people from this. This is utterly insane. It is insanity that a mayor of New York City is going to Israel and telling them that he's serving the country of Israel as the mayor. This does not help anyone or anything. It certainly doesn't help New York City. Also, this guy is involved in all sorts of horrible pay to play bribe type situations, kissed Donald Trump's ass, lost in the primary. Could you imagine if Zoran Mamdani went to his home country of Uganda and said, I just want you all to know that I served you as your mayor? So here's my question for everybody. Why is everything laser focused and the camera is clear, the lens is clear, it's in focus and you can see it clearly, except for when it comes to Israel? It's like everybody loses their mind about this place. It is utterly insane. Furthermore, for him to say he went to Israel and he served them while their prime minister is...
See that divide? See that divide? These American Edomites are taught that now they finna start coming up against the small hat. They're not going to hold their tongue.
There's a warrant out for his arrest because he's committed war crimes. He's committed a genocide. No other country gets this type of moral allowance. It's so insane. I can't even wrap my head around it. Moving along, here we have Laura Loomer on the GOP and Israel. Put up the post. All right, Laura Loomer, you guys. She says, it's time for everyone on the right to decide what they want. Do you want to live in a communist country, or do you want to tweet your edgy hot takes so you go to prison? Because that's the alternative if we lose the House and Senate. Trump will be impeached. His entire family will be jailed. Trump and his supporters will be targets of violence. We will have a communist takeover and America will be finished as we know it. We have less than 1 year till midterms. I hope for everyone's sake, people can accept that everyone has their own opinions on foreign policy. And let's get back to focusing on domestic policy and combating the left. We aren't going to win elections if every conservative with a large platform just obsesses over Israel every day. We need to focus on the left, blah, blah. Here's my thing to Laura Loomer. Trump should be impeached. More than likely, Dumb and Dumber probably need to go to jail. I think they've done a lot of shakedowns with other countries. Trump and his supporters will not be targets of violence. That is just complete bullshit. And the communist takeover is what Kanks is doing, wanting 10% of this, 20% of that, getting a plane from the Qatar, having the U.S. taxpayer pay $1 billion to retrofit it for him. And I do agree with you here about Israel, because it seems to me like the people in your movement, Laura, want to cherry pick when and where Israel is in the support is okay. So if it's Elon Musk, a white supremacist that does Sig Heils, if he does Nazi shit, that's okay. If Zoran Mamdani says that he sees anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on the same playing field, then he's a jihadist. You guys are so full of shit on this subject. It's unbelievable. Donald Trump can say anti-Semitic stuff. He can defend Tucker Carlson sitting down with Nick Fuentes. He can sit down with Kanye West and Nick Fuentes. But if anybody else on the left has any real pragmatic, objective criticism of Israel, you call them an anti-Semite. It's bullshit. And the gig is up. I'm so sick of the ADF, the Anti-Defamation League, making room in a permission structure for rich white billionaires to be anti-Semitic. And then now they have a Mamdani monitor. The hypocrisy is completely exposed. It is insanity. There's no way any of this makes Jews safe around the world until these far-right Jewish groups cease in trying to collude with white supremacists. You're not going to be safe, and you're making all of Jewish people and then all of these other marginalized groups less safe. Because when you allow for bigotry to one group, you open up the door to everyone. It's bananas. All right. Moving along. Dean Withers is 18, 19-year-old TikTok sensation, and he does live TikToks every day. And now MAGA, some of the deep embedded cult, they're showing their true colors. And here they are defending pedophilia. Play the clip.
You're right. I'll grant that you're right. And he's on the list and all the things. And you're right about all the accusations you've been making. Why is it wrong that he did those things?
Are you asking me why it's wrong to rape children?
Yeah, I need you to tell me why it is wrong in your eyes
to rape children.
To do that. Yes. Do you need me to repeat it? Can you not hear me? Do you have too many talks in your ears, or what's why is it wrong? Is that too hard of a question?
Okay. So we saw this with Megyn Kelly, and now we're seeing it with more of them. I saw a guy on my algorithm the other day, and this didn't pop up organically. It was someone pointing out what he said, but he basically said, 200 years ago, a 15-year-old could marry a 40-year-old and nobody freaked out about it. And now a 15-year-old dates a 40-year-old and everyone freaks out about it. They are moving the goalposts on this. I want to remind everybody that these are the people that lost their minds about drag queens reading children's books to children in libraries. Megyn Kelly went bananas. She claims to be an advocate for children.
So this is one big mess.
Look who's in New York City. Pumps and I are together in person because we have to talk about blowjob mania. Pumps, I had to film this solo episode yesterday when you were on your way here. And I can't believe that at the top of every news cycle isn't that Trump gave somebody named Bubba a blowjob and Vladimir Putin has the evidence of this.
One would think that would be an extremely high news topic. It's unbelievable to me that everybody's just acting like, oh, it's normal when Clinton was impeached for a blowjob.
So he's not beating these allegations in the least bit. Kylie, play the clip.
The question as well, can I just first ask, the hell of the president's always news, your voice sounds a little rough. Are you feeling all right?
I feel great. I was shouting at people because they were stupid about something having to do with trade in a country, and I straightened it out. but I blew my stack at these videos.
Okay. If I were accused rather salaciously of giving somebody named Bubba a blowjob, and then our national security was at risk because Vladimir Putin had evidence of said blowjob, I don't think I would rather enthusiastically use the phrase, I blew my stack.
No, I would think it was a poor choice of words. But for Gramps or Kanks, whoever he is today, he needs to get on point because he is drowning in this because it's so bad. It is so bad.
But he's incapable of doing that because we all know this man has advanced dementia. But when you look at everything in its entirety, he's blaring Phantom of the Opera from the Oval. Look at the interior design projects. Liberace meets Marie Antoinette meets White Trash, Nouveau Riche, and all of his arts and crafts side hustles. The thing about this is that you always have to remember a bunch of bad people are doing really bad things while he is engaging in these blowjobs with Bubba, when he is engaging in this Epstein cover up, when he's engaging in all of his interior design and architecture projects. I would say desecration.